That's a Ram, and that's a truck. I took a hit today, and that's through the paint. So she's got her first little bit of damage on it. I don't know what it was. I was running down the highway in some construction, and heard something hit the side of the truck. So I don't know what it was, but it's going to happen. Welcome back, RTT. Welcome back, Ram Truck Truckers. How's everybody doing today? Johnny Mac here. Got a little update on you on the trip.
500 feet, then turn right on North 43rd Road.
She gonna make a little noise here every once in a while, but we gotta let her do her job so I can keep doing my job.
Turn right on North 43rd Road, then turn left.
So I got two things for you today. Going to talk about where I'm going and how you guys can have some control over some of the videos, and I got first month's numbers for you and how that went, and it wasn't good. Wasn't the greatest anyways. So hang on there, we'll do one more turn and then we'll get going. All right, Ram Truck Truckers. So here's the deal. Here's where you guys get to have a little bit of input on the channel on what you get to watch. I'm headed up to Montana. Going to be taking 90 across Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, over there into Montana. Okay. Once I get unloaded, I would love to be able to look at the comments and see where you guys want me to shoot a video. Maybe, you know, there's a very specific little roadside historical monument or something you always wanted to stop and take a look at and never got a chance to, or I think we're even going to be going pretty close to Mount Rushmore. Maybe y'all want to see some footage of Mount Rushmore or something. So in a couple of days, probably by Friday, I'm going to get this rig unloaded and going to be able to have some free time, and I'll be looking through the comments there. If you see somebody made a comment about a place and you like it, hit that like button. If there's a couple of different places up there that people have suggested, the one with the most likes will get the video. So I want to thank you all for your feedback and interaction with the channel, and this is going to be hopefully one way I can kind of repay you guys for interacting with me and checking it out. So thanks again, and that video will be for one of our viewers. Okay, so don't forget 90 across Wisconsin, Minnesota, South Dakota, over into Montana. Okay, I just got done with a little break here. I was getting some crazy wind, and it was throwing my mile per gallon down to 5 and 6. No matter what I did, I couldn't get away from it. So I stopped and took a few hours off, because at 5 or 6 miles per gallon, we're not making much money. And we're doing this to make money. So the wind has dropped 15 miles an hour, and I got a couple hours left on the logs. We're going to try to cover it, all right? So I got some first month's numbers for you. It's actually about 5 weeks of numbers, but we're just going to call it the first month, because I had a run down into Texas that I wanted to get complete so that it would just make me feel a little better about what I did for the month. A couple of things happened this month during show week, which is this time of the year. They got the Hershey, Pennsylvania show, and they got another show over there in Elkhart that's for all the manufacturers, where all the dealers go to and they start placing their orders. And I guess during these 2 weeks, things get really slow. And by looking at some of the other RV transporters to see if they're staying busy on the YouTube, I'm seeing the same thing. They were pretty much, work was almost non-existent. And so I don't feel as bad about the last couple of weeks. It wasn't like I chose a bad company. It wasn't going to be able to keep me busy or anything. Nobody was busy. So, all right, at least the mess was spread out evenly across the board, and we can live with that. If I start feeling singled out like this company ain't going to be able to keep me busy, well, then we'll do something about it. We'll switch companies because, got to make sure we stay busy. So here's the numbers for the first month. The first load was to Arkansas. It was 690 miles. I got $1,105. The second load was to Arizona, 1,700 miles. I got $2,650. Then I took a load out to that Hershey, Pennsylvania, 530 or 585 miles, and that was worth $900. Then I took a load back to the house, 585 miles for $940. And just last week, I did a load down in there to Texas near Austin, 1,250 miles. It paid $1,700. So 11, 26, that's 37, 46, 55, 65, about $7,100 for the first month. Now let's talk about them numbers. Okay, a little over $7,000 for the month. That's not the greatest. Okay, we gotta get those numbers up. Probably 35-40% of that went to fuel, and then you got some insurance out of that, and so maybe 50% of it made it to the house. Okay, so about $3,500 to the house. That's not including me feeding myself out here. Now, in the general scheme of things, $3,500 to the house, that's not good enough. That's going to cause me to have to do a few things. It's going to cause me to either have to step up my ability with a fifth wheel hitch. It's going to cause me to really start thinking about whether or not we got to get the CDL to be able to, get more money to the house. When I was escorting, I used to gross about 12 to 13 a month, and my fuel bills were not as expensive. I wasn't towing. I was out here running around getting 20 plus miles to the gallon. So I could count on about 7,500 to 8,500 of that actually making it to the house. And so that's kind of what I'm used to. That's where my bills are. And so 3,500 a month, that's not going to cut it. But that's just the first month, and there's a lot of hiccups involved with your first month out here on the road. You got to get used to that load board. You got to get used to some of the other things that are going on. Even my first couple of months escorting weren't the greatest either. So, it's really hard to kind of tell what you're going to be able to do in an industry out here on the road in your first month. And then to top it all off, we had show weeks that were messing it up and making it hard to get a load. You're just sitting there spamming the load board. And, every 3 seconds, every 5 seconds, you're hitting that button, and you'll see something that works for you, and it wasn't there when the last time you hit the button, and so now you go to look at the load, and somebody's already looking at it. So there's several hundred other drivers doing the exact same thing you're doing, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and it makes it hard to get your hands on a load when there's no work. But the board has recovered. There was stuff that sat on the board all weekend. The Monday morning when I woke up and went to head up to the yard to grab this Montana load, the stuff was still there from all weekend. So it's looking like we're going to be able to have some much more choices on what kind of work we're doing. I've already told myself I need like a 1,750 mile run every week or every 8 days or so to be able to get the amount of money home that I'm going to have to get home. This one right here pays, I think, almost $2,600. After I pay for my fuel, it's going to allow me to put about $1,700, $1,800 in the bank. And while it's not as much as escorting per se, that's enough to pay the bills. So until I, get some money into the account and over the next 6 months pay off a few things and set myself up for this new style of income, these new amounts, that's going to be kind of have to be the amount of miles I'm going to have to do every week. So that's put me on the like New Mexico to Montana, Wyoming, Colorado is not really enough miles, but a Colorado run will work and get me through the week. I've been out here on the road for a long time, and when you're working out here on the road, you should be making a little more money than you are, say, working at the house on a regular paycheck job. And it'll take some time. We got to get some money in there, and I kind of started in the hole a little bit. It took me a little longer to get going, and so I got to get myself out of the hole a little bit, and then I got to stay out of the hole for a little bit in order to throw some money where it needs to be thrown, so I can make a few adjustments for all these extra fuel expenses that I'm going to have now that I'm hauling. It's fine. We'll get there. I had some pretty good trusted advice from somebody who'd been doing this 10 or 11 years. And basically, with any driving job, there's going to be some bad months. It's more about your average over 6 months or your average over a year before you're really going to start understanding what this is going to do for you. Yeah, I probably need a little more money than the rest, than some of the other guys out there. I had a higher standard of living. Escort used to pay really well, but the problem with the escorting over the last 3 years and wind energy, where I was primarily, the last 3 years has turned into a summer job, part-time gig, 6 months on, 8 months on. The rest of the year, there's just nothing. And that's causing me to go up and down on my income as part of the reason I was in the hole I was in when I started this gig. So I could not handle the roller coaster ride anymore. I wasn't faring on the positive side of things by the end of the year. Just could not get myself recovered enough. And last year we did a bunch of improvements around the house. I got on a really good job, and I still got to finish paying off some of that stuff. So it is what it is. I dug the hole. I'll get it filled in somehow. But, I had a lot of information given to me when I decided to make this switch, and I was setting up with another company. And right at the very last second, I got some advice about that other company that they might be a little harder to deal with. And when you're starting out new, not new to the road, not new to hauling, not new to transporting, just new to this RV grind a little bit. And it made me nervous, so I made a switch right there at the very last second. Now, that company that I was dealing with was kind of dragging things out. I would suddenly get new information after, 2 weeks of talking to them, and it was a little bit of a surprise. They wanted me to pay for training. I ain't never had to pay for training in my life. I didn't know why they was going to want to make me do that. So I made the switch and went over to this other company, big company. I don't know how long I'll stay here. Some of the better companies to work for that are going to pay you a little better, they want you to have 6 months in the industry before they'll take you on. And that's fine. That's fair. Uh, so we probably won't be at this company forever. But once I'm done with this company and I've separated, I'll tell you who it was. I don't have anything bad to say about the company. You know, I signed on with them. They were pretty clear. Nobody told me I was going to do the occasional load for $1.40 a mile. Okay, that's a tough rate. That's a tough rate. But entry level truck, entry level equipment, no fifth wheel hitch, no CDL. I am very limited on what I can run. And so that's what it is. It's looking like if they really need to, it's looking like anywhere between $1.40, and that's kind of rare. More often than not, the lowest rate is like $1.43 on the board. But the best rate I'm probably going to get is if they really need something somewhere, and that was when I went to Hershey, and that paid $1.66. Okay, in the world I'm coming from, that's still a little low, especially since I've got some gas, more gas expenses. So, it's like anything, you're going to have to get used to it, figure out where the numbers are going to be, and get your finances in order to be able to handle this. Some of you guys only need $800 or $900 a month, or $800 or $900 a week to get your bills paid and be able to get a few things done, a few extra things done. I'm in a different boat. Some of you guys are probably in a different boat too. I've been an independent contractor for a very long time, and I've basically been able to set my own prices and my own rates. And the industry I was coming from, I got pretty used to it. And so little tip here: if you need a lot of money on a weekly basis to keep yourself afloat, to keep your house running the way you need it to run, you might need to have a little more equipment. You might need to have that CDL. I see rates out there at $1.99 a mile for some of these CDL drivers taking the big giant 40-foot fifth wheels that weigh 19,000 pounds, and they got the big 1 ton or the big 4,500 or 5,500, and they can handle them loads. I can't handle them loads right now, and if I'd have walked into it with all the equipment in the world and the CDL and all that stuff, that doesn't point out what the entry level guy is going to be able to do, and that's kind of what I wanted to see. I could have went to the bank and got a bigger truck. I could have had the more equipment right off the bat, but not everybody's going to be able to pull that off, and that's what's real important about what we're doing during the first year. I want to see what happens when somebody walks into it with the bare minimum. So the truck has got to have so much money a month in order to do the job. I got to have so much money a month to be able to do the job, and to be able to afford to stay out here. And I got some credit, and I could go out there and I could throw all the equipment on the truck to be able to get going, but that's not the test. The test is bare minimum, getting in, no extra money to play with, barely being able to pass the bare minimums to be able to get the job. And I'm going to make the truck perform, and I'm going to make the truck deliver, and the truck is going to pay for itself to expand. Okay? Like last week, it scratched my sunglasses. The truck did. Okay? The truck can't even afford to buy me new sunglasses, so I'm driving all day like this so I don't have to stare at the scratch. I'm gonna, there's going to be some struggles involved, and I want to see what that's like. I want you guys to see, what it's like to start with the bare minimum. And I started above the bare minimum. I went and got a new truck. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. And actually, at the time when I went and got the new truck, I probably couldn't afford the new truck because the work had been so messed up with the escorting. But I've been good on my bills over the last, 10, 12 years. My credit's real fair. And so the bank was going to mess with me no matter what I was going to do. And me personally, I'm as afraid of going on starting on with used equipment as I was grabbing a diesel and taking the risk with the DEF situation, as I am scared of grabbing a 8 or 9 year old truck that maybe somebody didn't transport with, but it was their personal driver, and it ran fine for them. They maybe maintained it well, but they didn't work the truck. And anybody out here knows, it's been out here a decade plus transporting and working out on the highways. When you get that old truck, it don't matter how much that old man maintained it. You start working that truck and making it perform in a different way than it's used to performing, things are gonna break. And on these bigger trucks, bigger than a half ton that is, on these bigger trucks, the repairs are gonna be expensive. And I just wasn't really ready for that headache. I'm walking away from a set of headaches and Chevy. And so I needed it to be a little smoother, a little less stressful. So that's why I went to the bank and got the new truck. So the truck is going to have to figure out how to afford the new fifth wheel. And the truck's going to have to pay me what I need in order to start saving up a little bit of money to get that new fifth wheel. So, we're going to grind for a couple of weeks now that there's work on the board. We're going to grind for a couple of weeks to be able to get some money set aside. But that's, from what I'm seeing on the board, I'm going to have to be able to have a wider variety of work. Plus, fifth wheels are a little nicer to the truck than the travel trailers. This Momentum I got, it's a toy hauler. I'll show you guys that tomorrow. When I get a morning where I'm not loading and we're, just got to wake up, start a video, and then start driving. So tomorrow we'll go through this Momentum. I'll pop a door. We'll go inside, take a look. But it's a 27-footer. Remember I told you in the video the other day, it seems like they're making these rigs heavier. The toy hauler's heavier than just a regular trailer, period. But this is a 27-footer, and it weighs 13,000 pounds. This is the most I put on the truck so far, and I can tell. Today I was dealing with some heavy wind and 5-6 miles per gallon. So I'm not making enough money doing that. So we pulled off. We took a break for a few hours. I could see that the wind was going to die down tonight. It'll be died down tomorrow, and those things are going to matter. You need to be paying attention to what you're spending when you hit your gas pedal, which I'm going to let it downshift, but I'm climbing a hill, so it ain't going to downshift much. But now that I did wait for a few hours, sorry about that glare, making me shiny. Ooh. And I just didn't feel like doing a full day at 5 and 6 miles per gallon with a 22 mile per hour headwind, and coming from 2 o'clock when I was running down there on 80. That's going to happen. Some days it's going to involve snow. Some days it's going to involve ice. Some days it's going to involve rain with that wind. And, just park. I can get through a day on $15 worth of food. And I would rather put off a little bit of work and, save a little bit of money and cost myself a day here and there. If it means once I do start moving again, I'm going to be back up into that 8, 9, 10, 11 mile per gallon. Because unless you're there, you're not making a ton of money. So those are the numbers. They're not the greatest. A month in, yeah, not everybody was 100% truthful with me. It's going to, down here at the bottom, it's going to suck. I'm going to be making a little less money than I expected. But, you know, when you're out here on the road, you're going to get a curveball every day. Something different is going to happen. Every week, something different is going to happen. And looks like I'm going to be running with a perpetual curveball here for some time. So, you know, running the test, bare minimum. Going to have to grind for a minute to get a new piece of equipment. And once I get access to the fifth wheels and can start hauling some of them with a fifth wheel hitch on this truck, I'll be able to do about 30% of the fifth wheels that are hitting the yard. That's going to get me every once in a while. That's going to get me up into a $155, $165 pretty easy compared to what it's like trying to get a $148, a $152 out of a travel trailer run. So we got some room with the truck to get some new equipment, to get some better rates, and going to have that CDL weighing on my brain, no, because, you know, I don't know, $155, a $160. I'm still going to be working pretty hard in order to get that money to the house that I need to get to the house that I'm used to. So, but I didn't want to come into this and run and go and get the CDL and buy the 1 ton and or the 4,500, and you know, that just doesn't seem fair to the average person that might be trying to get into this. And that's what we're doing with our first year test. That's what it's all about. What is the average person leaving a paycheck job gonna be able to expect getting into this industry? So you got the first month's numbers. This run here, 1,750 miles. It's going to be the first run of next month, where I expect to stay real busy. I expect to be able to do, you know, 10, 11,000 miles all month long to see where that's going to be able to get me at the end of the second month. Okay, so the second month is going to be a real good idea of what it should be like regularly. So cross your fingers. I'm hoping that we see some better numbers for the next month. Keep an eye out. If you want me to look at something special, take a look at the route, see what's on there. I sure would love some feedback. I'm sure I'll get plenty of the feedback. The channel's got a lot of interactions, and I really do appreciate that. That last video got me a couple more subscribers, and I hope you're enjoying the content. So I'm Johnny Mac, signing off, reminding you, have a safe day. Let off the gas a little bit, get a few more dollars to the house. Peace, love, and happiness to everybody out there. Adios.